Hey guys, tonight we ease into a tale so monumentally uneventful, it might just bore you right to sleep. You're standing atop a misty hill in Bronze Age Greece, way before democracy, philosophy, or Instagram-worthy ruins. Below you sprawls the sleepy sprawl of Mycenaean, not yet majestic, not yet mysterious, just some quiet hum of half-built stone walls and the faint clink of tools against rock. A cool breeze slips across your cheeks as the sun blinks sleepily over the Aegean. You're holding a rock, a lumpy, vaguely grayish chunk you found near your sandal. You give it a lazy poke with your finger. Not bad, not too firm. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the one. You've been recruited, sort of conscripted, really into the noble art of Mycenaean construction. But not the glamorous bits. Not the columns or bronze doors or tombs shaped like inverted ice cream cones. No, you're part of the stone feelers. A proud if slightly hunched group responsible for selecting the softest, most compliant building stones this side of the Argolid. Yes, your job is literally to find the gentlest rocks. And no, you probably won't survive the next Mycenaean war, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening from somewhere interesting, let me know your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing how far this sleepy journey travels. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You shuffle past a half circle of workers already at it. Some squat low, drumming their knuckles gently on limestone lumps. Others lean their whole bodies against the rock face, pressing cheeks and forearms like sleepy toddlers testing pillows. Occasionally, someone gives a satisfied grunt. That's how you know they've found a contender. See, back in the late Bronze Age, Mycenaean architects were many things: warlike, practical, vaguely obsessed with lions. But what often goes overlooked is their peculiar preference for soft stones. Not just because they were easier to cut. No, they felt better. Soft limestone, in particular, was the go-to. And it wasn't soft like marshmallow, of course, just soft for a rock. It gave slightly under pressure. It held carvings without crumbling. And it didn't echo like some snobby marble. You could tap it, and it sounded like a yawn. You trail behind a senior mason named Pacos, shouldered, dusty-bearded, and blessed with the most sensitive elbows in the region. According to legend, and by legend we mean Pacos himself, retelling it daily, he once rejected a stone just by looking at it. The man is part builder, part oracle, and part liar. He pats a boulder. No, too proud. He slaps another, too sweaty. Finally, he presses both palms against a third and sighs. This one is humble. This is the level of analysis we're working with. Historians still argue whether such whimsical assessments were based on real geological knowledge, intuitive experience, or just chronic dehydration. Still, there's some method beneath the moss. Mycenaean builders favored stone types like marl and soft limestone because they could be quarried close to home. No need to drag heavy slabs over hills when the good enough stuff was under your feet. That's right, convenience was ancient. You stoop beside a lichen-covered lump and push your thumb into a crack. It resists, but not completely. You nod, trying to look wise. An older woman next to you snorts and mutters something about rookie wrists. You pretend not to hear. The sun inches upward as the hill warms, and a few lazy cicadas chirp from the olive trees. Stone carts groan in the distance, pulled by donkeys who look exactly as bored as you feel. Suddenly, a junior mason lets out a triumphant ha, and waves over the foreman. They gather around, murmuring. You sneak a peek. The selected stone looks like all the others, but when the foreman places his full weight on it, leaning dramatically like a tragic actor, it barely budges. That's good. That's premium yield. That's soft stone gold. Then there's the nail test. You've heard of it. Take a bronze nail, press it against the surface, and see how deep it sinks. You try it. Half a fingernail's worth, not bad. You glance around. No one's watching. You pocket the nail. A little souvenir of mediocrity. One worker nearby is convinced that singing to the stone helps. He hums off-key lullabies as he caresses the limestone, eyes half closed. You whisper to your neighbor, "Do you think that works?" She shrugs. He's Pacus's nephew. Ah, that explains it. By midday, you've tested 20 stones, rejected 15, and bruised only to knuckles. Not bad for a novice. You wipe sweat from your brow using the corner of your tunic, and sit in the shade of a half-assembled retaining wall. All around you, the subtle choreography of ancient construction continues. Quiet chatter, a few distant goat bleats, and the gentle, rhythmic taps of stone meeting tool. It's not dramatic. It's not heroic. But it's real. And it built something that somehow still stands. And maybe, just maybe, you start to understand why a civilization that built with stones soft enough to carve, but strong enough to hold a roof, could survive for centuries until, of course, it didn't. But that's not your concern right now. You lie back in the grass, a pebble lodged under your shoulder blade. You roll slightly to the side. Better, the cicadas keep droning. The rock beside you still smells faintly of chalk and sun, and you begin to drift. You blink slowly under the same sleepy sun as Section 1, limbs still sore from a morning of tactile stone inspection. The wind brushes gently across the hilltop, and somewhere downhill, two builders are locked in an argument so half-hearted, it could double as a lullaby. "Limestone's better," mumbles one through a mouthful of figs. "Granite doesn't melt when it rains," yawns the other. Neither lifts his head. They're sprawled on their respective chosen rocks, like overgrown cats, draped in worn wool tunics and covered in a polite layer of quarry dust. You're caught somewhere between amused and intrigued, because this is allegedly the Mycenaean version of an engineering debate, granite, as you've heard at least 10 times since breakfast, is hard, stubborn, and ideal for things like roads and weapons and mildly impressive tombs. But for actual walls, it's a nightmare. Takes 2 winters just to chip a corner, someone said yesterday. Another claimed it bit a man once. Limestone, on the other hand, is the builder's favorite nap partner. Softer, local, kind of like stale cheese in texture, if that helps you sleep at night. It can be sawn, polished, and lightly bullied into shape. You've personally watched it flake under pressure like an overworked scribe. And the masons here, they love that. You shuffle closer to the argument, catching the tail end of a legendary story that's more dust than fact. Granite's cursed. A prince once tried to carve a statue from it and fell asleep for 20 years, woke up with moss in his ears. Statue was of his dad, right? His stepdad, the weird one. Historians still argue whether Mycenaean builders had formal guidelines for stone use, or whether it was mostly oral tradition passed through eyebrow waggles and deeply subjective feelings. There's no surviving manual, no stonecutters, just the practical knowledge of where to hit, how hard, and what stones won't complain about it. You sit on a slab beside the squabblers and tentatively press your hand against the granite ones resting on. It's warm from the sun, but the texture is hostile, smooth, but in a smug way, like it knows it's not going anywhere. You tap it with your knuckles, echoes like a funeral drum. Now you try the limestone, dull thud, like knocking on someone's shoulder while they're already asleep. Far less drama. You're starting to get it still. Some masons can't help themselves. They worship granite for its drama. One, named Ephoros, shows you a gouged scar along his forearm and proudly announces, "This granite taught me patience." He sounds like a monk, if monks were made of leather and sarcasm. The younger crew, however, prefers limestone. It chips. It yields. It even smells nicer after a light rain. Plus, it doesn't give you splinters the size of olive twigs. You help them sort stones into piles. Too sharp, too flaky. Feels like grandma's knee. Just right. There's a surprising amount of emotion in the process. You're not picking a spouse, but it feels like it. Every choice involves pressing, testing, stepping back, and making deeply philosophical groans. Sometimes someone licks the stone. Don't ask. You tried it once. Tasted like time and disappointment. Midday arrives with a thud. Literally someone drops a boulder by accident and blames the wind. The foreman, who's already sweating through his second tunic, calls for a break. Most of the masons collapse right where they're standing. You follow the subtle stampede to a shaded outcropping, where a few mats, fig baskets, and jugs of watered wine have been spread out, as you chew on bread so dry it squeaks. One older woman, gray braid, fierce stare, leans over and whispers, "Granites for graves, limestones for stories." You nod, though you're not entirely sure what that means. She pats your hand. You'll learn. Soft stone remembers the shape of your fingers. Somewhere in the background, a donkey sighs so deeply it sounds philosophical. The post-lunch period is slow, sleepy. A few workers pretend to test stones, but are clearly just napping on them. You join in. The limestone under your shoulder is warm and forgiving. For a moment, you imagine it breathing beneath you. Then someone accidentally sits on granite and yelps. The mood shifts. It's back to work. One group begins marking selected stones with red ochre symbols that look vaguely like upside-down fish or extremely tired birds. These signs tell the haulers which ones passed inspection and which are too emotionally unavailable to build with. You're assigned to the passable pile. Here, stones are already vaguely shaped, with corners rubbed off and edges pre-sawed. You carry one under your arm like an unwilling puppy and load it onto a cart beside others just as confused as the sun dips lower. The debate resumes quietly, with fewer words and more pointed glances. It's clear limestone's winning today. Most of the granite has been left behind, smirking smugly in the dirt. And maybe that's for the best. The Mycenaeans weren't trying to build pyramids or obelisks. They wanted homes that didn't bite back. Halls where kings could pace without echo. Walls that hummed softly at night rather than shouted. You look back once at the quarried hill. Dozens of stones soft, hard, confused wait, quietly in the golden light. There'll be something soon. For now they're just old bones of the earth, waiting for your touch. Afternoon stretches thin across the hill. And now you're learning a new trick passed down by the laziest but oddly respected Mycenaean masons. The elbow test? Yes, this is a real thing. It starts when old Pactos, the bearded oracle of stone sensitivity, crouches beside a squat limestone block and rolls up his sleeve. You and the others lean in, expecting some dramatic ritual or obscure tool. Instead, he slowly, reverently rests his bare elbow on the stone surface, then waits. 2 full minutes. No talking, no movement, just elbow on rock. Someone sneezes. Pacos doesn't flinch. Finally, he exhales like he's tasted the soul of the stone, and grunts, too stubborn. He gets up, rubs his elbow thoughtfully, and moves to the next one. This, apparently, is high science. The idea, you're told, is that your elbow's skin being slightly thinner, slightly more sensitive than your palm can detect subtle surface irregularities and temperature clues that indicate whether a stone is truly cooperative, or more likely, it's just a good excuse to sit down. Still, you try it. You kneel beside a pale, rounded limestone block. Gently you lower your elbow. The surface is warm, smooth, slightly grainy, like bread left out overnight. You hold, you wait. You consider your life choices. Nothing happens, and yet, the longer you rest, the more the rock feels less like an object, and more like a suggestion. Your arm begins to relax. Your thoughts slow down. The stone doesn't push back. You give a slow nod. This one's agreeable. The other workers ignore you, but the stone knows, somewhere behind you. 2 young apprentices are testing stones by sitting on them and seeing which ones don't leave marks on their tunics. It's not official protocol, but neither was the elbow thing until someone made it look wise. Historians still argue whether this elbow test was symbolic, practical, or just a product of widespread sleep deprivation among ancient masons. Whatever its origin, it stuck. And honestly, you kind of like it. You walk among rows of stones, now marked with elbow test results. Some bear small scratches, others faint chalk marks. A few have smudges that may or may not be elbow grease. And there, in the corner, sits a pile, marked with tiny sketches of frowning donkeys, rejected with prejudice. You assume you hear a whispered chant. Not far off 3 older masons, crouched around a cracked slab, humming quietly and rocking back and forth. You recognize the words. Stone too proud, breaks in war. Stone too soft, melts in rain. Stone just right. You'll build again. It's more superstition than science, but it does the job. Keeps the masons alert, or at least rhythmically hypnotized. Afternoon slides toward evening. The elbow test becomes a game. One mason challenges another to identify 5 stones blindfolded, just by elbow feel. The results are mixed. One identifies a mossy patch as deeply spiritual, while another mistakes a tree root for ancient sea rock. You try again, this time on a damp block. Your elbow lands, but the chill snakes straight up your arm. You pull away. Nope. Too cold, too unkind. Some stones never warm up, no matter how long the sun kisses them. And there's talk, always talk, of the living stones. ones that hum slightly when touched, ones that hold warmth long into the night. One woman swears she once leaned her elbow onto a stone and dreamed of lions. Of course, she was also drinking fig wine at the time, but those stories stick, especially as you learn just how delicate this selection process is. One bad stone can collapse a lintel. One brittle block can send a wall rippling like old cloth. So yes, maybe the elbow knows something. Towards sunset, Pacos pulls you aside. There's an art to it, he mutters. Stone's got memory. Your elbow leaves an impression deeper than it seems. You squint. Literal impression. He smirks. Metaphorical. But also, yes, sometimes literal. You wander back through the selection rows, elbow gently grazing surfaces like a sleepy painter testing canvas. Some feel chalky, some warm and sleepy, a few prickle faintly. Like warning bells, you press your elbow to one final stone just as the last light slips behind the hill. This one is near perfect. Flat surface, soft corners. It holds your weight without judgment. You close your eyes. You think, in that moment, you could fall asleep right here, stone beneath you. Sky above, elbow tuned to the rhythm of ancient earth. But someone claps. The day is done. A voice calls out for wine. You rise slowly, your elbow tingling slightly. The stone holds its heat. It remembers you, and maybe tomorrow, someone will lay that very stone into the foundation of a palace, or a wall, or a shrine to a forgotten wind god. But tonight, it's just a warm rock under a fading sky. You start early the next day, feet still. Sore calves tight from yesterday's hillside shuffling. Today is all about walking. Not glamorous, not legendary. Just long, slow, repetitive walking through rocky terrain, looking for good limestone that hasn't already been claimed by goats or gods. You lace up your sandals woven leather, lovingly chewed at the edge of sand. Join the others in a line that snakes down the quarry path. It's quiet except for the gentle clink of tools on belts and the occasional, unavoidable yawn. Your route follows a dry gully littered with thorn bushes, abandoned stone chips, and one small shrine to a local spirit, who apparently oversees the safe transportation of moderately heavy objects. Offerings include 2 pebbles, a goat hair, and half a fig. Not exactly divine catering. Ahead of you, Pacos gestures lazily toward a ridgeline, muttering, "Stone up there smells like sleep." You try not to take that too literally, but you note it anyway. Mycenaean builders have many sayings, most half jokes, half warnings, like, "Don't trust a stone that echoes your name. If moss grows on one side, the other side is waiting to lie. The best blocks roll downhill, so follow them." These aren't just aphorisms. They're a survival manual for picking stone without losing your mind. The quarry path winds up a slope scattered with shallow pits, some long abandoned. You pass one where the rock's been carved into neat cubes, stacked like forgotten dice. Another pit is half full of rainwater, and a solitary frog that seems to guard the edge with unsettling calm. Then comes the climb. You dig your heels into the loose soil as the line ascends. Woven sandals, you quickly realize, are about as effective as wet paper. Each step brings a fresh new jab from hidden pebbles and thorn roots. You curse gently under your breath and start fantasizing about boots, or levitation, or teleporting directly to the nap phase of the day. The higher you go, the softer the light becomes, Trees thin out. The sky grows pale with early heat, and then there it is. A limestone shelf tucked into the hillside, dappled with golden morning light, half overgrown, and almost definitely ignored by everyone but the insects. It doesn't look promising at first. Just lumpy ridges and a few cracked surfaces. But Pacos perks up. Ah, the unbothered stone. You crouch beside him and place your palm against the rock. Cool, chalky, quiet, no echo, no resistance. This might be the softest stone yet. And a few others fan out, testing ridges and marking patches with ochre. The stone here is gentle underfoot, worn by rain and centuries of wind. One apprentice kicks a slab by accident and apologizes. To the stone, no one laughs. That's just good manners. Historians still debate whether Mycenaeans had formal quarry zoning or simply wandered until a good site felt right. There's evidence of organized cutting patterns, yes, but also plenty of signs they just went with their gut. And speaking of gut tours rumbles. Pacos pulls a flat stone from his bag and reveals a tightly wrapped olive leaf bundle, salted fish and barley bread. You take your own lunch and sit under a scraggly fig tree, your back resting against a warm chunk of future palace. Lunches on quarry hikes are quiet affairs. People chew slowly. Conversation drifts in and out like lazy wind. The usual topics arise. Which donkey is the smartest? Whether stone dreams are real. What happens if you lick granite? Answer, regret. Afterward, you stretch your aching legs and begin the survey phase. This part is even less glamorous. Tapping, chipping, sniffing. And sometimes, just for variety, whistling softly to see how the rock responds. Your feet, by now, are raw. Every loose pebble feels personal. Still, you keep going, guided by the rhythm of stonework. Walk, test, mark. Walk, test, mark. Someone brings out the whacking hammer, a squat bronze mallet designed to tap for hollows. If it rings, no good. If it thuds, perfect. You get a turn. You thud the stone. It sounds like sleep. You nod. This one's a keeper. You nod. This one's a keeper. One slab further down the ridge has a peculiar shape naturally curved like a sleeping cat. You rest your hand on it. Pacos approaches, squints, and then mutters, that one already knows it wants to be. Until you write a little L in chalk. There's a rhythm to this work that slowly pulls you in. By late afternoon, you're not thinking in words anymore. Just surfaces, temperatures, textures. You don't even notice the ache in your feet until you stop moving. The cart arrives with a musical creak. You help load slabs, working in tandem with others lifting with thighs. Not back, as Pacos keeps reminding everyone, even though no one listens. As the sun begins its long descent, casting the quarry in gold and shadow, you glance back at the ridge. The marked stones wait patiently, their soft surfaces glowing faintly in the light. Tomorrow they'll be moved, shaped, maybe even named. For now, they rest gentle, solid, unhurried, and so do you. Evening drapes softly over the Mycenaean hills, and you're back at the mason's yard, nursing sore feet and the tiniest pebble embedded in your left sandal strap. You've barely sat down when someone claps twice and shouts, "Time for Cyclops standards." Oh good. That again, you rise with the others and shuffle toward the long row of trial stones freshly selected, mildly soft, and just waiting to be judged. not by aesthetics, not by strength. No, tonight's judging is based on whether or not a Cyclops would approve. You heard correctly. Apparently. There's an old saying among Mycenaean builders: if a Cyclops wouldn't nap on it, don't build with it. It's unclear where this came from, and historians still argue whether this was metaphor, mythology, or just a masonry joke that got wildly out of hand. Either way, the standard stuck. It's a weird but widely accepted test of a stone's softness and character. You're told the logic goes like this. Cyclopes are enormous, grumpy, and allergic to discomfort. If a stone could, theoretically, support one of them reclining after dinner without poking a kidney or collapsing into gravel, then it's good enough for a Mycenaean roof beam. You are now expected to imagine yourself as a Cyclops. You take your place on the long slab, close one eye, and recline slowly, elbow first, then hip. The others are doing the same, each performing what could be described as a sleepy, mythical catwalk. One older mason emits a theatrical snore to complete the image. You press your cheek to the stone. It's decent, holds your weight, doesn't scratch. Acceptable napstone. You give it a thumbs dash up beside you. Two younger builders debate whether real Cyclopes would prefer warm or cool stone. One argues for sun-heated for comfort, while the other insists they'd sleep on river rocks chilled. To perfection, you tune them out and continue your one-eyed evaluation. Another slab proves disappointing, uneven, pokey, and too eager to flake. That'd give a Cyclops a rash, someone mutters. Rejected. One particularly large stone earns a round of applause. Flat, slightly sloped, and with a gentle groove right where a massive shoulder might fall. You nickname it the Snorer. It gets marked with a swirl, of course. None of this is in the official construction guidelines because, as you've noticed, there are no official construction guidelines. There are, however, deeply held beliefs and surprisingly consistent habits. For example, the Cyclops standard tends to reject stones that are overly rigid, too brittle, prone to sharp corners, emotionally distant, as judged by gut feeling. It favors stones that seem to absorb heat, dull sound, and survive gentle hammering without developing cracks or a bad attitude. One apprentice, half joking, starts drawing tiny eyes on his favorite stones. One eye, big, round, sleepy. Soon, a few others join in. Pacos notices, doesn't say anything. But you catch the faintest smirk on his weathered face. As the sun dips below the hills, the yard glows warm. You and the others stretch out across the row of stones, not really working anymore, just lounging like a row of sleepy giants. Someone breaks out the wine. Another passes olives around, still dusty from a storage pouch. It's a moment of shared peace. Maybe tradition, maybe superstition. But it works. You're testing these stones not just for strength, but for silence, stillness, and the way they cradle the weight of a body and the hush of a breath. One older mason begins reciting what sounds like a lullaby. One eye sees the mountain, one ear hears the sea. Stone beneath the Cyclops, soft enough for me. You let your eyes close. The slab is cool under your spine, but not unkind. The world hums in the distant, stools being put away, carts creaking, faint voices calling to each other over dinner fires. It's here, stretched out on a stone that might someday form the lintel of a royal chamber, that you begin to understand the Mycenaean obsession with softness. Not because it was easy to work with, though that certainly helped. Not because it lasted longer, because honestly it didn't. But because it felt right. It welcomed the body. It dulled footsteps. It turned rooms into caverns of silence. Soft stone didn't shout or shimmer. It didn't try to outshine the human. Inside it just held. And when you're building a home, or a hall, or a tomb, that might one day be forgotten under centuries of dust and grass and goat trails, maybe all you really want is a stone that remembers how to rest. You press your palm flat against the slab and whisper, just once, good enough for a cyclops. And then you smile. Because tomorrow, you're carving it. Morning breaks gently over the quarry, casting long shadows that stretch lazily across the stones like sleepy cats. The air smells of dust, damp earth, and the faint trace of fig wine, still lingering from last night's cyclops evaluations. You shuffle through the yard, feeling slightly tender from yesterday's long hours of stone testing and the unusual weight of the night's thoughts. It's not just the stones that are soft, it's the whole process. Today, it's all about carving. The quiet art of chipping away at a rock until it becomes something useful, something that will hold together for centuries long. After the masons who worked it are nothing but ghosts in the wind, Pacos is already at work, hammering softly at a stone slab that looks like it could double as a humble tabletop. He taps it like it's a secret, coaxing it into submission, each tap a whispered command. You've seen him do this before, slow, deliberate, confident. The rhythm of his hammer's stroke is something you're beginning to recognize as stone. Conversation, you're handed your own mallet and a smaller stone. It's rough, no more than a lumpy block of limestone, waiting for your touch. You feel it in your palms. The cool, inviting weight of the stone, the way it hums softly against your skin. There's no rush, no force here. The work is patient. Like everything about the Mycenaeans, you take a swing, just a gentle tap, to start. The shaping process. A few chips fly off. You pause, wiping sweat from your brow, and examine the result. It's more than just chipping at rock. It's rhythm. It's shaping history. Every tap, every crack, is a step closer to something real. Not too hard, not too soft. Pacos murmurs from across the yard, his eyes never leaving his work. He's right. You can feel it now. Too hard, and the stone will resist, like a grumpy old man refusing to move. Too soft, and it'll crumble under the weight of time. You need to find the sweet spot. As you continue working, other masons filter in, their mallets tapping out their own stories in sync with yours. Some are skilled, their motions fluid, like dancers in a centuries-old ballet. Others are still learning, hesitant with every strike. You watch one apprentice miss the mark, leaving a jagged edge that feels almost aggressive. The others chuckle softly, and he shrugs unbothered. There's no shame here, just more learning. The air heats up, and you realize how much easier it is to work when the stone is soft. Not just in texture, but in spirit. The softer stones, those are the ones that bend with the work. They let you carve your mark without pushing back. The hard stones, well, they remind you that not everything in life is a conversation. You take another swing. This time, the stone gives with a soft click, and you pause, marveling at the way it seems to settle into shape, as if it were always meant to be this way. This is the magic. You realize the art of stone is not just about chiseling away what's unnecessary. It's about discovering the shape that was hidden beneath the surface all along. You glance over at Pacos. He's shaping an arch now. His motions so precise that the mallet seems to almost glide across the stone. A perfect curve, like the sky. You wonder, not for the first time, if Pacos could carve anything into stone. Could he make it tell stories? Could he give it life? You'd never asked him, but maybe that's because the work speaks for itself. One by one slabs are cut edges. Smooth surfaces polished. The yard hums with the quiet music of creation, each tap and strike falling into rhythm. The sun moves across the sky, and your stone slowly begins to take shape. It's a simple small piece of the puzzle, but it feels important. It's yours. Historians still argue whether Mycenaean masons considered their work as art or as simple labor. Some claim that their stones were meant to last. Others say they were symbols of something much deeper, something spiritual. Whatever it was, there's no doubt the masons treated their stonework with a reverence that few outside the quarry ever understood. You finish your stone, set it aside, and lean back. The day is winding down, and for the first time, you take a moment to appreciate just how quiet the quarry feels. It's as if the stones themselves have absorbed the rhythm of your mallet. They're settled, ready, complete as the last light of the day spills across the yard. The stones glow soft in the dimming sun, their smooth surfaces catching the last rays like old friends settling into a nap. You're part of this now. Your hands have left a mark on something that will outlive you, and there's something deeply comforting in that. Maybe in a few hundred years, someone will find one of your stones and wonder who carved it. They won't know your name, but they'll know your touch. That's enough for you. The stonework continues into the evening, the sounds of mallets and chisels fading into the stillness. You lean back and close your eyes, letting the hum of the stones cradle you into a quiet, gentle sleep. You wake before dawn, a quiet ache in your back where the stone had cradled you last night. The cool air of morning greets you with the soft murmur of the quarry stones settling, birds singing, the distant creak of a donkey cart making its slow way up the hill. You stretch, feeling the stone dust clinging to your skin like a gentle reminder of the work to come. Today, the quarry has an even quieter mood. It's like the earth is holding its breath, waiting. Most of the masons have already begun their morning rituals, selecting their tools with careful deliberation. Paco stands at the edge of the yard, his gaze distant, looking over the stones that lay like bones, waiting for burial. You join him, already feeling the weight of the day pressing in. The sun hasn't fully risen yet, but you can feel it creeping, ready to wake up the stone with its heat. The gentle hum of activity grows as more masons gather around the fresh pile of slabs, soft rounded limestone, each one hand-picked yesterday, for its promise of endurance. Your first task is one of precision, a small lintel to be carved for a temple doorway. It's an easy enough job on paper, but there's a catch. The stone is almost too soft, the kind that feels like it might crumble if you look at it wrong. But that's the art of it, isn't it? Finding the balance between too soft and just right. You know it will hold, but only if you treat it with the care it deserves. You tap your mallet gently, testing the stone. The surface gives slightly under the strike, but doesn't flake. The rhythm of your work begins to fall into place. Tap, chip, tap. Each stroke shapes it further, carving away unnecessary edges, revealing the natural curve that was hiding beneath the surface all along. The light begins to shift across the yard, the stone glowing faintly under the warming sun. It's almost as if the limestone itself is waking up, stretching its limbs after a long slumber. You can't help but marvel at how the stone seems to yield to your will, almost too perfectly. Pacos watches from a distance, his arms folded, his face unreadable. He's always watching. You've learned. Not just your work, but everything. The way the stone moves, the way the air smells, the subtle changes in the rhythm of the quarry. There's a purpose to everything. Nothing is accidental. At noon, the work slows down, and Pacos gathers everyone together for a break. The courtyard fills with the scent of bread, olives, and roasted herbs, a far cry from the dusty, sweat-soaked air of the quarry. You sit with the others, nibbling on bread and sipping water from a clay bowl. Do you ever wonder, Pacos asks suddenly, if the stones remember who shaped them? It's an odd question, and you almost laugh. What do you mean? Pacos leans back, his eyes flicking over the stone piles in the distance. You feel that connection between your hands and the rock. I don't know if the stones remember, but I think we do. We leave something behind when we shape them. You chew your bread thoughtfully. It's one of those things that doesn't fully make sense, but somehow, you feel it too. Each tap, each strike, each movement of the there, the stone holds something of you. Something intangible. The rhythm of your hands, the quiet hum of your work, the way you breathe. Historians have long debated whether the Mycenaeans viewed their work as sacred, or if it was simply labor. Some argue that their architecture was designed with purpose, a blend of artistry and functionality. Others believe it was something more, a way to communicate with the earth itself. You lean back, letting the afternoon sun warm your face. The stones are still there, quiet and patient, waiting to be shaped. And in that moment, you realize something. Whether it's sacred or simply stonework, it doesn't matter. The work is the connection. The stone feels that Pacos stands up, wipes his hands on his tunic, and gives you a knowing look. Come, there's more to be done. You follow him back to the stone pile, the work ahead of you feeling more like a continuation of yesterday's rhythm than a new task. You're not just carving anymore. You're part of something larger, something that stretches beyond the quarry, beyond the stone. As the day fades into evening, you keep shaping. The mallet taps gently in the quiet of the fading light, each strike a soft conversation with the stone. There's a rhythm to it, all a dance between you and the rock. Slowly, steadily, you carve something beautiful, something that will last. The sun dips lower in the sky, and the shadows stretch long across the quarry. You stop for a moment, letting the cool breeze brush your skin. For the first time, the weight of the work feels light. There's a peace in the rhythm, a quiet satisfaction in knowing that, for all the toil, you've left a part of yourself in these stones. The stones wait, the work continues, and tomorrow, you'll shape more. The next day arrives with the kind of heat that presses against you like a heavy wool blanket. The quarry, however, remains as serene as ever, its hillsides dappled with the occasional shadow of an early morning cloud. You stand at the edge of the stone piles, feeling the soft vibration of the earth beneath your feet. It's the quiet before the storm of labor begins today. you're tasked with finishing the lintels for the new temple door. The work feels different this morning, somehow more intimate. The sun climbs higher in the sky, and soon, you're standing before your chosen stone, large, flat, and perfect for the purpose. The stone is so smooth that it feels as though it's already been worked by hands other than yours. Maybe the gods themselves had passed over it, smoothing it, coaxing it into just the right shape for you. You lower your mallet to your side for a moment, inspecting the stone closely. The texture under your fingertips is warm and inviting, like it's welcoming you to the next stage of creation. You've come to realize something important during these days of work. Stone, no matter how heavy or still, carries the imprint of all who have touched it. The mark of the hands that shape it, the force of the strikes that carve it, and, yes, even the quiet moments when no one is around. As you kneel, taking up your mallet, you wonder if the stones you shape will outlast your hands. They certainly seem like they could. You glance toward the temple foundation, and for the first time, you realize just how much work has already been done. The structure is rising, solid and strong. The stones that surround you are no longer just rocks, they're a story in progress. You take your first strike, the mallet falling with practiced precision. The sound is satisfying, resonant. You can almost hear it, reverberating deep within the earth. A call to some ancient rhythm that only stone understands. Tap, 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 as you work. You notice the small details, the way your breath falls into sync with the strike of the mallet, the way the stone seems to push back against your hands, yet give way under your touch. It's a strange sort of partnership, and for a moment, it's as if the quarry around Ulav, with sound and dust, falls away. It's just you, the stone, and the steady rhythm of work. The air grows warmer as the sun climbs, and the heat of the quarry becomes more noticeable. Sweat drips from your brow, your tunic clinging to your skin. You pause for a moment, looking out over the yard. There's something almost meditative in the way the masons work, each person absorbed in their craft, each stroke of the mallet bringing them closer to something greater than themselves. You can hear Paco's in the distance, his hammer tapping softly against a new slab. There's a steady rhythm to his work too, as if he's listening to something only he can hear. His posture remains perfect, as it always does, and you wonder if that's part of his secret, how he's able to carve so effortlessly. One by one, the stones take shape. Your lintel is beginning to look like a doorway. Its edges are soft and inviting, just as they should be. You smile to yourself, content in the knowledge that you're contributing to something that will last far longer than the fleeting days of quarry life. These stones will be here long after you've moved on, centuries into the future. As you continue carving, the sounds of the quarry seem to fade into the background, replaced by the rhythmic tapping of your mallet. Tap, tap, tap. It's hypnotic, almost like the beat of a distant drum. The stone, like everything else, is slowly taking its place. No longer just a slab of rock, but something purposeful, something destined for greatness. The world outside the quarry feels distant now, like an echo of something long past. You're entirely absorbed in this moment, this timeless rhythm of stone and labor. The stone listens to your touch, yields to your will, and in return, it becomes something greater than it was before. As the sun begins to dip toward the horizon, the quarry starts to quiet down. The work for the day is nearly done, and the masons begin to gather their tools, rubbing down the edges of their stones with cloths soaked in water to cool them off. The first stars begin to twinkle faintly above the hill. You stand, stretching your aching arms, and take a moment to look at the lintel you've carved. It's not finished yet, but it's getting there. The sun's final rays bathe the stones in golden light, and you can't help but feel a sense of deep satisfaction. You've carved it with care, with patience, and it feels as though the stone is starting to breathe with its own purpose. It will hold the weight of the temple doors. It will support them for generations, and it will carry the marks of those who shaped it. It's more than just a stone now. It's a testament to the quiet, persistent labor of those who understand that real work isn't about brute strength or force. It's about knowing when to listen, when to yield, and when to allow the stone to speak for itself. You leave the quarry with the setting sun, tired but content, the weight of the stone still with you, the rhythm of the mallet still in your blood. You wonder if the stone will remember you when it's finally in place, standing proud in the doorway of the temple. But even if it doesn't, it will hold something of you, something that only the stone knows. The moon is already high in the sky. When you return to the quarry the next morning, the air is cooler now, crisp and fresh, with the scent of pine mixed with stone dust and earth. You can feel the change in the atmosphere. Today feels different. Maybe it's the weight of the lintels you've been working on, or maybe it's the growing sense of completion that hangs in the air like a soft, unspoken promise. As you enter the yard, you notice the others are already at work, but there's a quiet intensity to their movements. The usual chatter has been replaced by purposeful silence, the kind that comes with knowing that the final strokes of work are imminent. Paco stands near the entrance, his gaze scanning the stone piles with the kind of focus you've come to recognize as his version of a prayer. He's looking for the next perfect stone. He always is. You stretch your arms and take a long, steadying breath before making your way to your own station. The lintels you've worked on over the past few days are almost done. Just a few more chisel marks, a little smoothing, and then the real test, fitting them into place at the temple site. The thought fills you with a strange mix of anticipation and gratitude. After all the hours spent in the heat, bending your back to the stone, there's something satisfying about knowing these pieces will soon be part of something larger, something that will endure. You pick up your mallet and approach your lintel, its edges now carefully carved, its surface smooth under your touch. With a gentle tap, you test the stone, listening for the hum of the mallet's strike. Tap, it sounds right. Tap, it feels right. The stone is near perfection. It's solid, yet supple enough to bear the weight it was designed for. And in this moment it feels almost alive under your fingers, a living testament to the hours, the hands, the sweat that shaped it. For a brief moment, you close your eyes, allowing the quiet of the quarry to settle over you. The wind whispers through the trees, and you can almost hear the voices of those who came before you, shaping stone just as you are, leaving their mark on time. As the day wears on, more masons begin to bring their completed stones to the temple site. The sound of chisels and hammers grows louder, each strike joining the symphony of creation. The walls of the temple are beginning to rise, each block settling into place with a satisfying click, like the pieces of an ancient puzzle slowly coming together. Paco's, with his quiet expertise, moves between the workers, checking each stone for imperfections, offering a nod here, a word of guidance there. It's not a glamorous job, but it's necessary. The final stonework must be flawless. You're called over to the temple site, where your lintel is to be set in place. Your heart beats a little faster now. It's not just about the stone anymore, it's about the whole structure. The doorway it will form, the walls it will help hold up. It's about the future. It's about the work of 1,000 hands coming together to create something that will last long after you're gone. With careful hands, the masons guide your lintel into place, slotting it perfectly above the frame of the doorway. It sits there, solid and secure, holding the weight of the stone walls, as though it was always meant to be here. You step back and admire it just for a moment. There's a quiet pride that swells within you, but also a humbling realization that this is only one part of a much larger picture. The work you've done here is important, yes, but it's only a fraction of what's to come. Tomorrow, there will be more stones, more carvings, more lintels to shape. Historians often debate how much the Mycenaeans cared about the legacy of their work. Some say they built not for themselves but for the gods, leaving behind monuments to their faith. Others argue they built for the future, creating a world that would be remembered for generations. You're not sure what the answer is. All you know is that in this moment, as you stand before your lintel, you're part of something much larger than yourself. The sun is dipping below the horizon, casting a soft glow over the temple site. The stones glow golden in the fading light, their surfaces smooth and calm. You know this temple will outlast you, that the stones you've helped shape will endure long after the last mason has gone. And there's something peaceful in that thought. Tomorrow you'll return. You'll pick up your mallet again, and you'll continue carving, continue shaping, continue leaving your mark on this ancient world. But for tonight, as the last rays of sun fade into twilight, you pause. You stand before the temple doors, your lintel above them, and you listen. Listen to the quiet hum of the earth beneath your feet, the whisper of the wind through the trees, and the distant sound of hammers tapping in perfect rhythm. In that moment, you realize that the work is not just about the stone, it's about the connection you've made with it. The connection you've made with the land, with the past, and with the future. And that, in the end, is what lasts. The days blur together as you continue working on the temple. The stones stacking higher, the walls growing more solid with each passing hour. You've learned something important about the rhythm of stonework. It doesn't wait for you. The stone doesn't pause for breath, doesn't take breaks, simply is, and your job is to shape it, guide it, and know when to let it breathe. You rise early again, as usual. The dawn air is cool against your skin, and the quarry is alive with the quiet sounds of preparation. Masons are gathering their tools, checking the stones, and making small adjustments to their work. There's no hurry, but there's purpose in the air. You've begun to recognize the subtle shift in mood that comes when a project nears its completion. There's a focus, a tension that runs through the work. It's not frantic, but it's building. You take a moment to stretch, letting the quiet of the morning settle over you. The stone yard feels like a world of its own, separate from the rest of the world. There's a kind of peace here, a slow, measured cadence that seems to match the earth itself. Pacos comes over, his usual steady gaze fixed on the pile of stones you've been working with. His hand rests lightly on one of the slabs. "This one's close," he says, his voice low. You nod. He's always watching, always assessing. He moves away, and you kneel beside your next stone, a large block, just waiting for your mark. You tap it gently with the mallet, testing its give, its warmth, its promise. There's something about the texture of this stone, it feels like it's already been shaped in a previous life, as if the work is only a continuation of something begun long before you arrive. As you carve, you find yourself thinking about what Paco's said, the idea of stones holding memory. You wonder if that's true. Does the stone remember who shaped it? Does it carry with it the mark of the hand that touched it, the rhythm of the mallet, the quiet intention behind each strike? You tap your mallet again, a little harder this time, and the stone responds, yielding just enough to form a perfect curve. It's delicate, but strong. You smile to yourself, knowing that this stone, like all the others, will carry a part of you with it. It will carry your mark, your touch, your rhythm. The sun rises higher in the sky, warming the quarry. The masons are working faster now, their strokes more determined. The temple is nearing completion. The lintels are in place, the walls are rising, and the final touches are being applied. You step back from your work, looking over the progress. The stones, now fully shaped, are beginning to come together to form something more than just a building. They are becoming something sacred. The work you've done here on these stones, in this place, is more than just labor. It's a conversation with the earth, with the past, and with the future. You've shaped these stones, and in doing so, you've shaped a part of the world itself. The Mycenaeans may have been known for their power and their kingdoms, but here, in this quarry, the real power lies in the quiet, humble act of shaping stone. You hear Paco's again, his voice carrying across the yard. Make sure the edges are smooth. No rough corners. We don't want the gods tripping on our work. The masons laugh softly, but you can feel the truth in his words. The work must be flawless. The stones must fit together perfectly. There can be no imperfection in something meant to last forever. You finish your stone, smoothing the final edges with a cloth, and stand up, surveying the temple. The walls are nearly done. The lintels you've shaped are in place, steady and proud, forming the entrances that will welcome those who enter the temple for centuries to come. You step back and take it all in. The work isn't just about the stones anymore. It's about the future, about the generations that will look upon this temple, this monument, and know that it was built with care, with reverence, and with the quiet strength of those who came before them as the sun begins to set, casting the last golden light across the temple. You stand there for a moment, letting the weight of it all sink in. You've been a part of something much bigger than yourself. And as you turn to leave, you know that the stone will remember you. Historians may debate whether the Mycenaeans were driven by faith, by power, or by something else altogether. But for you, standing in the shadow of the temple, you realize that it wasn't just about the stone. It was about the connection between the hands that shaped it, the earth that held it, and the future that will carry it forward. You leave the temple site quietly, the sounds of the quarry fading behind you. Tomorrow, you'll return to the stones. But for tonight, you rest. You've done your work. And the stone, for now, will do its own. The dawn is soft again as you rise, your body adjusting to the quiet rhythm of the work. It's a different kind of tiredness today, a deep, almost familiar ache in your bones that tells you this journey is nearing its end. The temple is almost complete. The lintels are set, the walls are rising, and the final touches are being added. The sun stretches its first light across the quarry, and for a moment, it feels as if the whole world is holding its breath. You can feel the shift in the air. There's a sense of anticipation, not only in the quarry, but in the way the earth seems to hum beneath your feet. This place, this quarry, will live on. It will continue to shape the future, just as it has shaped you. It's an odd, unspoken truth that comes with working stone for so long. The stone does remember. It carries with it the imprint of all who have worked it. And though you may leave, the stone will remain, holding the history of everything that's been done here. Pacos approaches, his eyes scanning the temple site. You can see the same quiet pride in his face that you're feeling in your own chest. Today, he says, his voice low and steady, we finish. The last stones go in. You nod, feeling the weight of his words. It's almost too much to absorb in a single breath, the knowledge that this project, the one you've poured your heart and soul into, will soon be finished. The stone that has felt like an extension of your own body will soon be part of something larger than you could have ever imagined. As you walk through the yard, your hands brush over the stones that have become so familiar, stones you've chipped away at, shaped, molded with your own hands. Each one has a story, a moment when it became something more than just a block of rock. And now, they are becoming a temple, a place of reverence, a place where the gods, or the people, will one day gather. Today is about the final placement, the last few stones that will complete the structure. You gather your tools and head toward the temple site, your heart beating a little faster, your hands steady with the knowing calm that has settled over you in these final moments. The masons are already at work, the final blocks being lifted into place, forming the last edges, the final corners of the temple. The sun is now high in the sky, and the heat presses down on you, but you don't feel it. Your focus is absolute. This is the culmination of everything you've done, every strike of the mallet, every careful tap to test the stone's resonance. This is the moment when all of your work comes together. You take your place, feeling the weight of the stone as it's hoisted into position. With careful hands, you place the final stone, a keystone, no less, the one that will complete the archway at the entrance. It's heavier than the others, but there's something satisfying about it. Something that feels like the final note of a song, the last stroke of a masterpiece. As the stone settles into place, there's a soft hum in the air, like the earth itself is acknowledging the work that has been done here. The temple stands tall now, its walls firm and proud. The lintels you helped shape, the stones you carved with your own hands, are now part of something much larger than any single stone. They form an entrance. They form a path forward. You step back, looking at the finished temple. The sun casts long shadows across the stone, and for a moment, you just stand there. The wind picks up, rustling the trees in the distance. There's a sense of stillness here, a peace that you've come to know in this place. You've left your mark. Your work is done. Historians still debate the Mycenaean worldview. Some claim they believed in an eternal cycle, where each generation left behind its legacy to be built upon by the next. Others argue that they were driven by power, seeking to establish something that would outlast them. But standing here, at the foot of this temple, you realize that it's not about the gods. It's not even about the kings or the rulers. It's about the work. You have left a part of yourself in these stones, and they will carry that with them long after you are gone. And as you turn away from the temple and begin your slow walk back to the quarry, you understand that this is the true meaning of legacy. Not in monuments or titles, but in the quiet, enduring impact of the work you've done. The sun is low in the sky now, and the quarry is beginning to quiet as the day winds down. You feel it in your bones, the peace, the completion. You've done it. Tomorrow, there will be more work to do, more stones to shape. But for tonight, you rest. The morning comes gently, but with a quiet finality. You rise from your bedroll, your muscles sore from days of stonework, and feel the morning air cool against your skin. There's something different today, feels like an end. The quarry is still, and as you stand at its edge, you know this place has given you more than just work. It has given you a connection, a rhythm, that has been passed down for generations, and soon, the work will be complete. You walk slowly through the yard, your eyes taking in the stones you've worked with for so long. The pile is smaller now, but each stone carries with it the imprint of your labor, your care, your rhythm. Even the ones you didn't shape directly feel like part of you. You realize that the whole quarry, the entire project, is an extension of the work that's been done here before you and will continue after you leave. Pacos is already at the temple site. As usual, his steady hands working to add the final touches to the walls. His movements are methodical, but there's a quiet urgency now. The last stones must be placed perfectly. The temple is nearly finished. You join him, your footsteps light as you approach. For a moment, you stand next to him, both of you watching. The stonework takes shape. The lintels you helped carve form the archway of the temple, each stone perfectly aligned. You touch one of the edges, feeling its cool surface under your fingers. It's done. The work is finished. This is it, Pacos says, his voice low, but not without a sense of pride. This is what we've worked for. This is what it all meant. You nod, feeling the weight of his words settle over you. The sun is high now, casting long shadows across the courtyard. The temple stands before you, solid and unyielding, a monument to the quiet labor that has shaped it. And as you look at it, you realize that the stone has become something more than just rock. It has become a symbol of all the hands that have shaped it. All the sweat and toil, all the care and attention. Historians will never fully understand the rhythm of stonework, the subtle connection between the mason and the rock. They might debate the purpose of the temples, the intentions of the Mycenaeans. Some will say they were built for the gods, while others will argue that they were built for power. But standing here, in the quiet shadow of the temple, you know the truth. This work was done not for gods or kings, but for the stone itself. The stone carries the weight of time, and it holds memories of those who shaped it. The masons who worked before you, the hands that have come and gone, have left a legacy in the quarry that will never be fully seen or understood. But it will always be felt. You step back and gaze at the finished temple, a sense of satisfaction filling your chest. The stonework is perfect. The entrance stands tall, the lintels U-shaped, framing the doorway with quiet grace. This will stand for generations, a testament to the work done by those who understood that true beauty doesn't come from strength alone. It comes from patience, from listening, from knowing when to yield and when to strike. The temple, the stone, the work it will all outlast you. It will continue to stand long after your hands have left their mark. And that thought fills you with a deep sense of peace. The sun begins to set, casting a golden glow across the temple, and for a moment, it feels as if the whole world is resting with you. The work is done, and the stone has taken its place in the world. It will remain, carrying the memories of those who shaped it. You turn to leave, knowing that the quarry will soon quiet down for the last time. Tomorrow the stones will be covered, the site will be abandoned, and a new chapter will begin. But for tonight, you rest. You've shaped something that will last, and that's enough. The quiet of the morning is deeper now, as though the earth itself is exhaling after a long, laborious breath. You walk through the quarry, the path familiar beneath your feet. But today, the air feels different. The stones, the walls, the lintels, all of it feels like a dream that's slowly starting to fade. The temple, now completed, stands in the distance, its towering silhouette a silent testament to all that's been done here. It's beautiful, yes, but it's also final. You know this is the last day. The quarry will be abandoned soon. The work is finished, and there's nothing left to shape. You feel a pang of something, gratitude, perhaps, or maybe sadness. It's hard to tell. All you know is that the rhythm of the stonework, the steady tap of the mallet against the rock, will soon be over. The sounds that have become so familiar to youth, echoes of labor. The hum of creation will fall silent. Pacos is already at the temple, standing before the grand entrance. His hands rest lightly on one of the stones, his eyes scanning the entire structure with a mixture of satisfaction and quiet pride. He doesn't say anything as you approach, but there's something unspoken between you, a shared understanding. You've worked alongside each other for so long that words have become unnecessary. The sun is already climbing higher, casting sharp shadows across the stones, and there's a stillness to the air that feels like an ending. This is the last time you'll be here. The last time you'll feel the cool stone beneath your hands. The last time you'll work alongside the other masons. It's a strange thought, but it's true. You step forward, your mallet in hand, and approach the final stone. It's just a small one, no more than a block, really, but it feels heavy in your hands. This will be the last one, the last strike. You place it carefully in the archway, the final piece of the puzzle, the last mark on the temple. As you press it into place, you can almost hear the stone sigh, settling into its rightful home. Pacos watches you for a moment, then nods. It's done. There's nothing left to add. No more stone to shape, no more mallet to swing, just silence, and the weight of all the work that has been done here. As you step back, you take one last look at the temple. It's complete now. Every stone in place, every lintel, perfect. It stands as a monument to the work that has gone into it, to the hands that have shaped it, to the rhythm of creation that has filled this quarry for so long. But even more than that, it stands as a testament to time. Time that moves forward, that never stops, that carries everything away, stones, masons, even entire civilizations. And yet, the work remains. The temple will stand for generations, perhaps longer than anyone can imagine. It will hold the marks of those who shaped it, a silent witness to the passage of time. Historians will argue over its meaning, its purpose. Some will say it was built for the gods, others for the people. Some will call it a symbol of power, others a symbol of faith. But for you, standing here, watching the sun rise over the completed temple, it is something else entirely. It is a symbol of connection, the connection between the stone and the hand, between the earth and the work, between the past and the future. You've left your mark here, in the stone. And though you will leave this place, that mark will remain. It will outlast you. The temple will stand, a quiet witness to the work of the masons, the stones, and the land. As you turn to leave the quarry for the last time, you feel something. Deep inside, something that has been building over the course of the work. Something that has grown with every strike of the mallet, every piece of stone that fell away. It's peace. A quiet peace that comes from knowing you've done your part. You walk away slowly, the sounds of the quarry fading behind you. The work is finished. The stone is set. And for now, that's enough. You don't go to the quarry the next morning. You wake with the instinct to rise early, as always, but something in your body hesitates. There is no stone waiting. No mallet beside your bedroll. No silent nod from Pacos in the early light. For the first time in moons, your hands rest idle. The temple is finished. The lintels are set. The last stone has been laid. You sit quietly beneath the tree that's offered you shade all this time, watching the golden light spread across the hills. The cicadas hum like they always do, but the rhythm feels different now, less like a call to labor, more like a lullaby. Others drift about the camp with the same slow aimlessness. You can see it in them too, without stone to cut or shapes to perfect. There's an odd pause in everyone's motion, like dancers waiting for music that no longer plays. They gather in small groups, talking in low voices, sharing figs and water, glancing often toward the temple as if to confirm it's truly there, solid, complete. Eventually, you make your way back to it, not with tools, not with quiet steps. The wind picks up a little as you approach, and the stone breathes beneath it. The temple rises, serene and unmoving, as though it had always existed. It's strange to see it without scaffolding, without dust swirling through the air, without the steady beat of chisels echoing across the valley. You trail your fingers along the outer wall, feeling the coolness of the limestone under your skin. These were once raw, blocks, sullen, awkward, resistant. Now they're shaped, aligned, softened at the corners to please both gods and weather. You can still spot the faint hammer marks beneath the smoothing, like echoes of past hands. Yours among them. No plaque bears your name. No one will sing songs of the masons. But your rhythm is here, in this stone. Your hand lies in the curve of the doorway, your breath in the bevel of the lintel, your patient quiet in the temple's foundation. A few others wander the site with you. One traces his palm over a carved pattern. Another leans into the shade of a newly raised wall, letting it cool his brow. No one speaks. You're all listening, in a way. Listening to what the stone has to say now that it no longer needs to be shaped. You think about the first days, how impossible the task had felt. How heavy the blocks, how blunt your tools, how soft the first stones you chose. You remember that one piece of limestone that crumbled in your hands before you even struck it. You'd cursed under your breath, afraid someone had seen, but Pacos had just nodded. "The stone teaches," he'd said, and it did. Historians still argue whether the Mycenaean builders believed the stone chose the form or the mason imposed it. Some texts suggest they saw stone as obedient material. Others insist it was revered almost animate. You've come to believe a little of both. You shaped the stone, yes, but it shaped you back. The lintel you carved is now the crowning piece above the temple's east doorway. You stand before it now, looking up. It's strange how small it looks from this angle, compared to how massive it felt when you were shaping it. Funny how the burdens always shrink behind us, like they were just part of the scenery the whole time. A young apprentice lingers nearby, staring up at the same lintel. He's new, barely old enough to hold a mallet hand. He missed most of the work, but you can see it in his eyes. He wants to know how it was done, what it took, what it meant. You don't say anything. You just nod toward the stone. If he stays, he'll learn the same way you did, through repetition, through dust, through the quiet companionship of material that does not speak unless you listen with your hands. The sky shifts. The light grows warmer, casting gold across the stone surfaces. In the distance, someone calls for the midday meal, but no one moves right away. There's a kind of sacred pause hanging in the air, like the temple itself is giving you this moment. One last breath before the silence settles. In for good, you sit beneath the outer colonnade, your back against one of the newest columns. Its base is still sharp-edged, not yet softened by rain or hands or years of ritual. But in time, it will be. It always is. You wonder how long the temple will last. Centuries, millennia. Will its name change? Will your lintel crack and be replaced? Or will it bear the weight forever? You smile faintly. It doesn't really matter. The stone has your rhythm. And even if no one remembers your face, the temple will carry your quiet, careful voice forward, each whisper held in the grain of the limestone, waiting to be heard again. You don't return to the quarry the next day or the day after that. The tools are stowed. The blocks are gone. Even Pacos, always the last to leave, has moved on to another site further inland, where fresh stones wade beneath layers of untouched soil. The old rhythms have gone quiet, but they still echo in your muscles. The swing of the mallet, the brush of dust across your skin, the low, hollow thunk that tells you a stone is ready to split. You walk the temple grounds again, this time, not as a builder, but as a visitor, a traveler. Someone who shaped the stone but is now learning to see it from the outside. The lintels, now weathered just enough to catch the light differently, still rest exactly where you placed them. That doorway, the one you carved from soft, grumbling limestone with quiet hands, is open. It frames the sky. There are people now. You watch them arrive in slow pairs and quiet groups. Priests with shaved heads and long sashes. Villagers with bread offerings in reed baskets. A wide-eyed child gripping their father's hand. They step lightly over the threshold, their footsteps echoing softly on the stone. None of them know your name. They don't know which block you shaped, or how you sanded the corners smooth so no one would catch their robes. They don't notice the tiny fissure in the left lintel you filled with beeswax and ground shell. but they move through your work, and somehow, that's enough. You sit at the edge of the olive grove that rings the sight, half in shade, half in sun. From here, you can see it all: the walls, the doorways, the soft outline of a roofline to come. You run a hand over a fallen olive, small and firm, not yet ripe. You wonder if this tree stood here when the quarry opened, if it watched the masons arrive, if it will still be here when the first stone cracks. There's a hum in the air, not sound, exactly more like vibration. A lingering pulse of the labor that has soaked into the stone. You can feel it in your chest, low and slow, like the earth breathing. Some historians say the Mycenaeans didn't build for beauty, that they chose their materials only for function, for strength, for durability. That the elegance we see now was a byproduct, not the intent. But you know better. You remember the care you took shaping the corners of that first doorframe, how you traced curves into the edges, not because they were required, but because they felt right. How the softest stones were chosen not for ease of work, but for their voice, how they sounded when struck. How they would age they chose with their hands, yes. But they also chose with their ears, and with their hearts. You think again of that old question, does the stone remember? You've come to believe it does. Not like people remember, not with names or faces or stories, but with pressure, with balance, with weight. The stone remembers who carried it, who carved it, who smoothed it until it caught the light just so. The temple is quiet now. The visitors have gone. Only the wind moves through the columns, stirring the dry leaves and soft spirals. The sun slips lower, its golden rays catching on the lintel above the eastern doorway. You watch as it glows gently, touched by a light it was shaped to meet. It will do this every year, just the same. You rise, brushing the dust from your tunic, and take one last long look at the temple. It doesn't need you anymore. It stands on its own now, exactly as it should. You turn away not with sadness, but with calm. The stone has your rhythm. It always will Tao. Let it rest. The air is softer now. The light has faded from gold to lavender, the sky settling into the kind of stillness that only arrives once the day is truly done. You sit quietly, eyes closed, and let the last warmth of sunlight drift across your skin. The wind has stilled. The cicadas hush. Even the stone seems to breathe more slowly now. You imagine the temple far behind you, its lintels cooling in the evening air. The walls don't move, but they hold stories now, yours among them. That quiet rhythm, the tap of mallet against stone, the sigh of dust rising in sunlight, that rhythm still echoes inside the stone. But only gently, only if you're still enough to hear it. You stretch your legs, take one long breath. The world isn't asking anything of you now. There is no work to finish, no line to carve straighter, no stone to shift, only rest. Let your hands loosen. Let your jaw soften. Let your thoughts slow to a gentle drift. You did what you came to do. The temple is there. The stone is strong. Your part is done. And in the quiet now, you feel it, the same peace the lintel must feel, having held its weight and found its place. It does not move. It does not speak. But it remembers. And so do you. Sleep now, Mason, you are part of the stone. you.